disappointed but not surprised. It hurts, but it's okay.
After her playing card, she tried to shoot shots at me, like, you feel me? So I don't know what that legit. So it's like, if y'all make her, she probably want to explore me.
It's really sad, but I feel vindicated because for weeks I've been saying Taylor doesn't like that woman. Taylor doesn't like that woman. We all heard him when he told Ace that he's not into Olandria or he's not feeling her romantically. So for him to do that and then not have the decency to hug her and say, I'm sorry, or even look at her was really disturbing. It was really disturbing. And personally, I think if Delulu was a person, Olandria's face would be right next to it because I don't get why she would want to stay in the villa after everything she's had to witness and after how that man has behaved. I would have checked out. I would have said, thank you very much for the opportunity. You don't need to vote. I'm out. You could tell even when they were voting that he wasn't happy. When it was announced that they chose to save her, he wasn't happy. So the idea that she's going to stay in this villa and watch this man continue with his connection after he made her forfeit her connection with Jalen makes my blood boil. But anyway, hey there. Thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island USA, Season 7, Episode 22. So you have Olandria and Nick living soul ties. Obviously, they've shared the case. They're making sure that they look decently dressed. I think this couple was made because production succumbed to fan pressure, and so they just wanted to give the fans what they were asking for. This is why they got them to couple up. Taylor on his part is coming back with Clark. They seem all cutesy and all in love, and the fact that you have Clark wearing Taylor's shirt was a bit too much, in my opinion, because Olandria comes down and the guys are happy to see her. People like Pepe, because they've known her, they've spent a long time with her, and they understand how challenging it is for her to sit through and just watch Taylor continue to explore this connection. Everyone is asking them, where have you been? They said they were on the daybeds having a chat. Olandria is struggling because she's got no one else to confide in about the case and sort of discuss what happened. Obviously, there is a concern that when Sierra comes, how will she view that? In Casa, you have you have JD and Huda sit down for a conversation. I don't see why she was triggered. I think Huda is easily triggered by anything that doesn't go the way that she wants, because they were talking about the challenge and how it went, and Huda felt like, he was very timid, and he is saying you are very dominant. You like to dominate stuff, and because he said you are very dominant, she then kicked off and stormed off, and it's like, that's the truth though. That is the truth. She likes to tell people what to do instead of sitting back and allowing people to sort of do whatever is comfortable or they're comfortable with. She always has to have an opinion. She always has to say this is what she wants and this is how she wants it done. So I don't get why she was triggered. Ace is having a conversation with Koko. I think this is what I think. I think Ace really likes Koko. The problem is Ace wants to win more than he really likes anyone. And so he knows that he cannot dump Shelly given how much he sort of pursued her and still have the fans on his side. So he's thinking if he stays with Shelly, then he has a better chance of winning. Because at the end of the day, they have a lot more in common. They're very reserved with Koko. They seem to... They both come from LA. They seem to have the same things in common. So I don't get why he's so concerned about the game and not about finding someone that he really likes. Pepe and Grayson, they go up to the terrace. It was really cutesy. Pepe is moving on. He's completely forgotten about Hannah. He's moving on and is trying to explore connections with people that are there. They did share a cutesy kiss. I think they make a good couple. The only problem is Grayson is Hannah 2.0. That's the impression that I get. Everything, the blonde hair, the facial expression, the facial features. She looks like Hannah, but just a slightly chubbier Hannah. That's it. You then have the girls getting ready for bed. In Casa, Huda is telling the girls that you'd be proud of me because, he said something and I wasn't triggered. I didn't name call. I didn't yell, scream and shout. No, that's not the reason why. It's because you knew that you'd look even worse and you didn't want to be kicked out. I assume maybe production gave her a warning that if you repeat the same behavior, then we're kicking you out. It's not that she was being on her best behavior. I do not buy that. I really don't. So I have the impression that she only did that because she knew she would get in trouble with production if she kicked off and caused another scene whereby people were being so upset. Amaya is in her own little world. She was talking about snacks, and I think Zake is actually a better partner for her That's the impression that I get. You have Ace telling TJ that on paper, Coco is this type of girl. And it's like, we all know that you like Coco more than you like Shelly. But at the end of the day, you want to win. So you're going to do whatever it takes in order to win. If it means you're going to continue to pretend to really like Shelly romantically, you're going to do that until you get to the end. And if things don't work out, then you can always chase Coco once you've left the show. That's the impression that I get. Anyway, all the islanders get ready for the night. They all go into their beds and they go to sleep, and it's like, wow. I was surprised. Taylor, before they went to sleep, he was trying to make out with Clark, and then as soon as Olandria walked into the bedroom, he stopped. You have Ace looking at him, because Ace knows this is not a good look. He knows his friend is smitten, but he also knows the fans are not going to like this, and so he doesn't like the idea that his friend could be vulnerable. And if he goes back to Olandria, I think it will be because the boys have pushed him that you need to go back and couple up with Olandria. This is not a good look for you. In the morning, you have the islanders wake up. In Casa, the girls are still low in mood because they're still, sad that Olandria left. They don't know that Olandria is in the main villa. You have the guys bring them breakfast, and JD brings breakfast for Amaya. He doesn't bring anything for Huda, or I didn't see it. So it's a bit questionable that was that the end of their connection. I think he was put off and he couldn't fake it anymore and he decided to keep it stepping. In the main villa, you have the guys bring up breakfast. But what I side-eyed was the fact that Taylor bought breakfast for Clark first, or that's what we saw, gave her a hug, and then he bought Olandria's breakfast. And sadly for Olandria, I don't know how she doesn't see that this man is not as into her as she thinks he is, because he has shown her countless times that he's really not feeling her that way. So the idea that she continues to try and sort of hold on to something that's not there doesn't make sense to someone like me. I really hope she realizes that this man has moved on. This man is sort of focused on something that's totally different to her. You have Zach with a K pull Amaya for a chat. And I love the way he's always checking in with her. I love how attentive he is towards her. Because he was saying to her, I know that JD is bringing you breakfast. He's my friend. I'm okay with that. I just want you to understand that, I'm never going to pull him up on that and sort of say, I don't want you to give Amaya breakfast, just because I understand, this is where we are. We are in Love Island and we have to explore connections. So if he feels he has something with you, I can't say no to him. It's just us waiting to see which is stronger, my connection with you or his connection with you. And then we take it from there, which I thought was very cute. It was really sweet that he was sort of not being territorial, but was just making sure that Amaya knew that it's not that he's not bothered by it. It's just that he has chosen to sort of take the high road and see how much longer he can sort of continue to pursue this thing that he has with Amaya. Amaya was cute about it. I love it for her. So you have Olandria and Nick sit down for a chat, because the problem is they shared the kiss, and because they shared the kiss, they need to discuss the kiss and find out where they're going next. Olandria was asked to speak. She said, no, you speak first. And Nick, you could see, was awkward about it. I think Nick likes Olandria, but the problem is he's a friend to Taylor, so he cannot cross that line. And because he's seen Olandria in a friendship role for a very long time, it's going to be difficult for him to suddenly turn around and say, oh, actually, let's explore a romantic connection. So I get where he's coming from when he says that, yes, we shared a kiss, but I was thinking of Sierra in the back of my mind. I was thinking of Taylor in the back of my mind. So it makes me question whether we're just better off as friends. They both agreed to be friends. Then they had a conversation about the connection between Taylor and Clark. And Olandria is saying she finds it very awkward. She doesn't know how to feel because she's having to sit there and watch him continue to explore his romantic connection with Clark. She doesn't know how to feel about that. She doesn't know whether to continue to just sit back and watch or whether to do something about it. And so it's really sad that she's sitting there and they're in this lovey-dovey cutesy sort of embrace. And it's like, it's not fair. I don't understand how Taylor doesn't see what's wrong with that. When she was exploring a connection with Jalen, he was hovering over her and doing little things to try and sort of get her head to stay focused on him. So the idea that he is not doing the same, I don't get it. Austin went for a chat with Jaden. They seem to be doing very well. They spoke about his open heart surgery. They spoke about her diabetes, which I thought was very good because it creates awareness of health conditions that are out there. But at the same time, I don't know whether their connection or their bond is that strong that I would say, oh, they make an amazing couple. So I don't know what's going to happen next for them, whether they're going to continue to pursue this or whether they're going to decide that no, we've had enough, let's keep it stepping. So I can't wait to see what happens there. I'm happy that Amaya seems to have found someone who really cares about her, so at least she doesn't need to worry about seeing Austin explore a connection with somebody else. You had Chris sitting and waiting in that room with the rotating door. I assume production told him to go there because he must have refused to speak in the presence of Shelly. Huda came in and then started asking, how are you, how's your connection with Shelly, how is that going, is there anyone else you like in the villa, do you think you can explore a connection with anyone else? And it's like, I don't think so. I said this before, I'm saying it again. Huda should have gone home for no other reason than to take care of her mental health, one, and to take care of her heart too, and get over the situation with Jeremiah before she can explore anything with anyone else. Because sadly for her in the villa, the guys have seen her crash out. And because they've seen her crash out, they are hesitant when it comes to exploring a connection with her. And they're not likely to want to do anything with her because every time she sort of looks like she's about to lose it, they start to sort of remember how she reacted when she was with Jeremiah, when she sort of lost it. And sadly, she's always going to struggle to get people to see her without a biased opinion. You then have Clark, and well, Olandria goes to sit with the girls and Clark pulls her for a chat. And sadly for me, Olandria can see what's happening, but she's in denial because she said, it's very hard for me to see that you and Taylor have been more physical faster than him and I were. But I understand that this is a test, and so we'll see where the chips lie. And it's like, how much of a test does he need? How much of a test does he need? This man has shown you from day one that he's really not feeling you. So the idea that you are not seeing this and you continue to say it's a test, I don't get it. I don't think it's a test. I think it's over. I think the moment he took off his shirt and gave it to her to sit on, the moment he gave her his shirt to wear, the moment he held her hand around the villa in your presence should have been the moment you realized that enough is enough. This is when I wish she had people like Tony from Love Island UK, Alima and Shakira to tell a girl, stand up, it's time. Have Olandria sit down for a chat with Taylor. Olandria, it's frustrating every time I see her on my screen because I want to shake her and say, girl, can you not see that this man is not into you? So they're having a conversation with her sort of waiting to find out what's happening next in regards to their connection. She acknowledges that yes, there is a physical side to that, but she wants to know what happens next. Taylor already knows that what she wants is reassurance. He's not giving her the reassurance. That should be enough message to say he's not into her. And so for Olandria to be stuck on this, oh no, they only have a physical and that might fade. No, they've spoken about other things outside of the physical. So I wish you'd open your eyes and you'd actually see that this man is moving on. He played you. I remember saying this about Kendall and how he played Hannah at the start of last season. And the same thing seems to have happened to Olandria. You have Grayson chatting with Clark, and Clark is saying, Olandria told me that I'm a test and I don't want to be a test, and so that's a bit of a setback for us. And Grayson said to her, if you really like him, then you need to make the effort to secure your connection. Don't listen to the outside noise. Just focus on what you are building with him and see where that takes you. And it's like, okay. You have TJ having a conversation with Vanna. They are a couple of convenience, in my opinion. They are a couple of convenience. I don't think there's a romantic spark there. I think they coupled up because Vanna wanted someone who would give her security. I think she realized that Ace's head was never going to turn, so she decided to go for someone who she knew was single, and the likelihood of her staying in the villa were more secure than being with someone who was already in a couple and there was the strongest possibility his head would never turn. So I don't know. I think they're just tolerating each other. For TJ to say he's thinking of Iris, this is the first time we've heard him say that. And so Hopefully, Iris on her part is thinking of him. You have JD sit down for a chat with Amaya. It was really cute. It was really cute. Sadly for him, I think the problem is he came in a bit too late. I think had he come in the same time as Zach with a K, then he would have stood a chance. But the problem is he was on Huda until he realized that Huda has a lot of healing to do. And by the time he decided to turn around and sort of come back to Amaya, I think Zach has already secured himself. Amaya didn't really seem that fazed by the fact that, he was trying to explore connection. Shelly then receives a text message that says, Islanders, tonight you will return to the villa, and it's about to go down. Another text message comes through that says, there will be a recoupling in which you must decide whether you want to stick with your current partner or stick with or couple up with somebody else. And we know that most people, once this happens, will try and stay in their couples because of security, because they've known their person longer. And I don't know what's going to happen. Poor Amaya became emotional because she has two guys that have connected with her, and so she doesn't know who she's going to take with her, and she's always over analyzing stuff, which is really cute and really sad. Sierra had a conversation with Elon. Elon is saying, he's got a connection with her, and so he doesn't know where things lie, but he's open to continue exploring their connection. The problem is Sierra has always been about Nick. And so because she's always been about Nick, the chances of her head turning are highly unlikely. You have Taylor sort of with Ace. They're having a conversation and he's telling Ace that he's conflicted because he doesn't know who he's going to pick between the two girls. He has strong bonds with both, but he doesn't know where to go. For Olandria to go and take pictures and in the photo booth and sort of put a kiss and stuff, I wish she would just sit back and watch. She doesn't need to make an effort. He needs to prove to her the same way she proved to him when she was exploring with Jalen. They did have a conversation. He said to her he's conflicted. That would have been enough for me to say, okay, fine. It is what it is. She didn't need to tell him that it's always been you. It will always be you for me. No. You fell in love sadly with someone who's not in love with you. And it's okay. It happens to the best of us. It's time to pick yourself up and keep it stepping. I have to say I loved this season's Casa Amor for the Love Island USA because everybody got a chance to shine. Everybody got to be in a couple and to explore. And I hope the UK takes notes and they use this as well, because normally people come to Casa and then everybody refuses to couple up with them and they end up sleeping in a bed on their own or just sitting there waiting for Casa to end so that they go back home. So I love that at least the Casa crew got involved in the sense that they were coupled from day one. They got to explore connections, and then from there they got to come to the main villa, because normally they don't come to the main villa. You only have people that have recoupled come to the villa. So this was cute. So you have the Islanders from the Casa Amor, all of them with their partners come back to the villa. They get to the villa, they sit at the fire pit and wait. And then Ariana Maddox arrives. Obviously she's there for the big recoupling. And once Ariana arrives, she then introduces the couples from the villa. So first up you have Austin and Jaden, they come out. You have Vanna and TJ, they come out next. And then you have Pepe, he came out with Grayson because he's been in a couple with Grayson, and Ace came out because now it left Ace and Taylor and Nick. So Ace came out with Koko, and then Taylor came out, and poor Sierra, she broke down because she realized that Nick had been sent home. Taylor came out with Clark. They looked cute. And what I liked was all couples were matching. So the Casa crew were all matching with their partners. And then once Sierra realized that Nick wasn't there, she broke down. And the guys really couldn't say anything to her. So they weren't looking at her. Some of them were crying. Some just couldn't look at her because they all knew that Nick was still around. And then you had Ariana reveal that there was one extra couple, and the couple came out and it was Olandria and Nick, and everyone was ecstatic. The girls ran to hug Olandria. What I liked, what was different from the Olandria and Taylor situation was when the couple came out, you had Sierra run to Nick, hug Nick, kiss Nick, do everything with Nick, while everybody else was with Olandria. And then afterwards, she then greeted Olandria. So it was nice to see that she prioritized her partner, and they really did look cute together. They then got them to stand on individual circles that formed a heart, and then they had a circle in the middle. So what would happen is a guy or a girl would be called into the middle, and then the people around them would be asked, did you write? Because they were given sort of little platelets to write the person they wanted to couple up with. So they would then reveal their platelet, who they had voted for or who they had chosen, and see if they matched. If they matched, they were a couple. If there were more than one match, then it would be a decision for the person whoever's on the mat first to reveal who they had chosen out of the people in the circle with them. So first up was Austin. Austin stood on the circle and they said, anyone who's chosen Austin, can you step forward? Jaden was the only one who stepped forward, which is amazing because at the end of the day, I'm happy that Amaya didn't choose him because he treated her badly. So they formed the first couple. Next up was Amaya. Amaya stood on the mat and it was a bit scary. I knew Zach with a K was going to step up for her. So it was nice to see Zach with a K stand up for her. And then you also had Jaden stand up for her. She chose Zach. And from what I saw from Casa, Zach seemed to consider Amaya as a second thought, because his connection with Huda didn't work, or whether he spoke to production, whether he had been promised to come with Huda and then he spoke to production and said, no, she's a bit too intense for me, I can't deal with this. He then decided to try Amaya, but sadly Amaya saw through that and she chose Zach. Next up with Pepe. Pepe came out with Grayson. So when he stood on the circle, Grayson followed suit. They both revealed their cards and it was a match. And Andrea, she stood on the mat and Brian stood next to her. They both wrote each other's names, so they were a match. And then you had TJ. TJ was a bit interesting because TJ had Vanna and Iris step forward, but then Iris had Zach with a C step forward for her. So what then happened was TJ revealed his card and his card said Iris. So once his card said Iris, Zach then, he couldn't pick Iris because Iris on her card said TJ. So Iris was, Zach was vulnerable, Vanna was vulnerable, and the vulnerable people were being sent to sit down. Next up was Ace. He had Koko and Shelly step forward. This is what I think. Shelly was going to pick Chris had it not been for Huda. Because just before they left Casa, Huda came to Shelly and said to Shelly, oh, Chris is my only connection. I have no other connection here. And so I just wanted you to know that I will be choosing him for recoupling. And it wasn't a good look. It really wasn't a good look, in my opinion. It seems as though production forced Chris to take Huda so that he could come back. Otherwise, she would have no one to come back with. And for some reason, they're trying not to send Huda home unless they really have no other option. So you had Koko and Shelly step up for Ace, and Ace chose Shelly. Ace was strategic. Ace is playing the game. So he chose Shelly because he knew of the backlash that would come if he chose Koko, even though, in my opinion, his number one was going to be Koko. I have a feeling had Koko stepped into the villa on day one, Ace would have coupled up with her and he would never have left her. He is doing to Shelly what Taylor has done to Olandria. Sadly, the girls are not picking up on it. Next up was Huda. Huda stepped forward and then Chris stepped forward. It didn't make sense. You could even see it on JD's face that he knew that this was a producer thingy. And he didn't even look. Everybody else was a bit surprised, but I think they realized that production had done this. That way they were coupled up. Anyway, Chris is in the villa and hopefully he can either couple up with Olandria if she gives him a shot, or he can couple up with a bombshell if one comes in. Next up was Sierra. She stepped on the mat and Nick and Elon stepped on the mat. She chose Nick. Anyone surprised? No. From the way she greeted him when he arrived, you knew she was going to pick him. And then you had Taylor. Taylor had Olandria and Clark. Personally, I don't get what Olandria has not picked up on. From day one, this man has said he's not interested in her. And yet in 3 days, he's been cuddling, hugging, making breakfast, giving this girl his shirt to sit on, doing everything that he was being forced by Ace to do for Olandria. So I'm not surprised that he chose Clark. I'm not surprised. I want to pretend to be surprised, but I'm not surprised. Olandria, on her part, I don't get. If I were Olandria, I would have said, okay, thank you. I would have lifted my hand and said, now can I go home? Because what's the point of staying there? Unless they want to show her at a movie night that Taylor actually said he didn't have any romantic spark for her. I don't get why else she stayed. Anyway, she then became vulnerable. So you now had the vulnerable people that were JD, Zach, Van, Coco, and Elon and Olandria. And what happened is they were given the option to save one islander. So the Casa people were to save one person from Casa, and the Villa people were to save one person from the Villa. JD was a bit tricky in the sense that his strategy was seen. His strategy was seen in how he moved, so no one was going to pick him. Sadly for Zach with a C, he was very quiet, so no one was going to pick him because they thought he would struggle to create a connection, which meant that the only option was Elon, so they picked Elon. With the other group, you had Taylor say, "Oh, did you see, the dig that Olandria took at me, the shots she fired when I picked Clark, blah blah." Taylor, on his part, and Clark both didn't want Olandria to stay. Nick is the one who fought her battle. Ace didn't want Olandria to stay. He would, if he had his way, he would have sent her home. So Nick is the one that advocated for Olandria. And sadly for Olandria, she's going to have to sit there and watch that, because Nick was saying, no offense to Clark and Taylor, you've only been together for 3 days. Maybe in 3 days, Taylor will wake up and realize that, he doesn't want Clark anymore. I don't see that happening. I think he's smitten with Clark, and I think he's going to stay with Clark until the very end. And sadly for Olandria, she will have to sit there and watch that. She will have to sit there and watch that and realize that this man doesn't want her. He has said so countless times. He has shown her countless times. I'm surprised she hasn't picked up that this man doesn't want her. But anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 21. Bye guys.